welcome everybody. I'm here with Ryan Hanna and Corey MacArthur from Sworkit. My name is Faisal Raza. I lead the customer success team at Ionic. Sworkit are one of our most cherished customers. So I wanted to speak to both the folks that bring it to life and just ask them a little bit about the app, their business, their tech stack, some UX design paradigms. So it's going to be an exciting hour of conversations. Thank you guys for joining us. Would love to have you both introduce yourself to our audience.
All right, thank you. Really excited to be here. My name is Ryan Hanna. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief product officer here at Sworkit.
I'm Corey MacArthur. I'm the user experience engineer at Sworkit. Basically, just the front end stuff that the users look at. That's what I do.
Nice. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. So just to get us started, tell us a little bit about why you started Sworkit.
Yeah, so Sworkit actually was originally created back in 2012. I was doing a full-time job as a network admin, also an officer in the U.S. Army Reserves, and so being so busy, needing to stay fit for that, I was just really struggling to find the time to do my workouts. I wasn't really somebody who enjoyed going to the gym. So, I had this real big need for myself and, started to think about it and realized that I'm obviously not the only one with this problem. So it was actually right about the same time I decided I was going to teach myself to code. So, these two things kind of went together at just the right time. And so this was one of the first projects I started working on, while I was teaching myself to code. And after a few months was able to, build things out. And actually, using just early versions of, jQuery mobile and using PhoneGap, was able to release this into the stores, App Store, Google Play, get it out there, and just started to get traction from there. Just saw that, there was this real need to help people work out, when they're short on time, when you don't really know what to do. And, kind of through that journey, kind of 2 years down the line, ended up meeting Greg Coleman and Ben Young, the other two co-founders, and they had another fitness app. And, we started talking and just seeing that, we were on the same path, had the same vision for things. And we said we joined forces. Sworkit was acquired by Nexercise. And from there, we just really started to grow. And, we completely rewrote the app, brand new designs and, functionality to really bring it to life and re-released it. And that's where we, have been able to grow since then, bringing on more of the engineering team, taking on marketing and sales. And yeah, it's been a really fun time, a big change from early days of me sitting at home in a green man suit, having my wife take pictures of, all the different exercises and stuff to, having, full access to a big studio and, getting people in there, trainers and everything. So yeah, definitely a really fun journey.
That's awesome. I know a bunch of folks here at Ionic use Sworkit. It's also installed on my Apple TV. So thanks for building it. It's a great app, and we're not just me, but a bunch of us are very fond of it. My next question for you guys was just tell us a little bit more about the Sworkit app, your users, and a little bit more about your business model.
Yeah, so I'll show a little video here to kind of explain the different areas of our business. So yeah, so we have our main consumer fitness apps. Those are available for iOS, Android, Apple TV, Apple Watch, the web. And what we've done is actually then kind of expand out into some other areas. So we're doing some content licensing and embedding Sworkit, our workout library into other apps and websites. We're working with schools, so working with teachers and students to provide this virtual PE option and an engagement tool for them to be able to grade the actual activity that students are doing, as well as even expanding into corporate wellness and what we're offering to businesses to be able to support their employees. So our main fitness app is helping people all over the world overcome those normal barriers of fitness. So maybe not having enough time, not knowing what to do. So we provide very clear guided audio and video workouts to help people actually start a habit and keep it going. Kind of organically, as we started to build this out, we had teachers using it, even kind of without us asking, and they were projecting it on gymnasium walls. So you've got hundreds of kids doing Sworkit and they're sharing on Twitter, and we're just saying, wow, this is really exciting. And so we took a cue from that and actually went in and re-recorded all of our content, not all of it, but some of it with kids. So we could actually provide this to those teachers to say, hey, how about kids can follow other kids instead of, some other trainer that they're not really the same sort of body shape of. So with that sort of program expanding out into schools, we're now supporting over 13,500 schools across the world. So in 34 countries, they were able to use this for free through our Sworkit Youth Initiative. And that's been like a really exciting expansion of who we're even supporting, and, to be able to support, especially right now when, with so much going on in the world, and, a lot of kids not being able to get there for their physical activity. A lot of us are parents on the team, and we really want to make sure that we can continue to support that mission. And then again, kind of, recently as well, getting into the corporate wellness side. So we're actually, kind of moving away from just being a B2C company and actually going into that B2B to C model. So, we're actually, selling into, corporate companies who have been looking for, a new sort of offering. So instead of that old school sort of, buying gym memberships for their employees, a lot of these things that people just weren't using, 10% of them actually using it. You come in, you bring something like Sworkit that's more versatile, more flexible for that. And they're getting a lot more engagement. It's a lot more fun. Just a lot more of their employees can actually get involved there. So, yeah. And the last thing, kind of building on the backbone of, you having Stencil and, building these web components. I think it was even Corey just one day, kind of showed up and was like, well, hey, we can actually just put this on the web for other people to use. And we're all just kind of like, what do you mean? And so, we took this idea to actually say we can take our workouts, because of the way they're built, and other people can use them on their websites, in their apps. We've, from there built, web components that other, mobile apps are using, gyms are using to provide content to their members. We've also got companies, a React Native side of it where, we're using some of the same logic. We'll talk about how we do all that, but just really going beyond just serving that, direct to consumer product and finding out there's a lot more ways that we can expand our business.
What an incredible story. That's fantastic, especially the way that you were able to take your fitness app and get youth to actually engage and have it being seen and showcased in schools. That's phenomenal. How many countries are you guys in right now, or are your users in today?
We're probably in every country. Every time I look at a different number, but
awesome.
we are, 13 languages are supported, internationally. Obviously, if you get on the web, then you can get to us. So really excited that we have a global audience that we're working with and making sure are keeping active no matter where they are.
That's phenomenal. What a fantastic app. Speaking of all the goodness that you've experienced throughout the years, just tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges or headwinds that you experienced in either building the app or in your business model or just scaling your business. Would love to hear some insights.
Yeah. So, there's always going to be different challenges, no matter where you are in the journey. So it's kind of hard. We don't have kind of singular massive moments where everything changed and it all fell together. I think, every single sort of, I won't say every day, but maybe every week, every month, we're kind of coming in. There's a new challenge that we're taking on. It's all about kind of prioritizing and making sure we know, what's there. Kind of early on in the story, I think one of the big things was also, growing from sort of one person writing all the code to actually, going out and building out an engineering team, bringing in people like Corey, some other of our engineers who've really come in, and all of a sudden it's, not all this, code being written by someone who, just learned to code 2 years ago. We actually have to build processes around that, making sure that, sometimes building a process is sort of feels like it's extra work, but when it's one person, you can kind of do all that in your head. But as you start to add more people, that's where we really started to, find the problem of, okay, if we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, why not find a right way to do it? We always kind of internally have this saying, it's really hard to improve a non-existent process. So we kind of take time, pause, build a process, and grow from there. I think another point as well, maybe just in the terms of consumer apps, and maybe it's a problem that we feel, but we definitely, when we were focused mostly just on our, direct to consumers, we definitely found a challenge in, the cost for actual acquisition there. So, we were just really struggling to, get that right ROI. You've got well-funded companies coming in and they're spending 40% of their budget on Facebook, Google ads, and trying to keep up with that. They're not even trying to return on the investment; they're just waiting for the next funding. We found a way to take that challenge on and think about are there other ways? So that's when we started looking at going into businesses and doing this sort of sale there, and going into the schools and just expanding out how many more people we can reach through that central sort of idea. So, yeah.
Very cool. Are you still allowed to code, Ryan?
Well, I mean, yeah, every time I touch code, it is technical debt. So it is, they let me do a little bit of WordPress here and there, and which they don't want to touch. And, but no, we
I'm just kidding. Ryan codes just fine. We let him code when he wants to.
Corey, it's okay.
We let Max, our CEO and founder, code from time to time too.
Yeah, as long as it gets checked, it's
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very good.
Let's shift gears and talk a little bit about your tech stack. So in the video that you were just showing earlier, you truly have a cross-platform app. Just give us some insight into your platform, into your tech stack, and tell us a little bit more about the team that's behind it.
Yeah, so I can talk more about this one. Our primary language that we code in is TypeScript. That's been really beneficial as our team's been so small that we have strong type definitions, so that as anyone comes into the code, they should be able to understand what the data looks like, as well as what functions are expecting. We use Stencil.js, also an Ionic product for our framework of choice. It's what the app's kind of built on, which is also written in TypeScript. And then we use Ionic, obviously, for our web components and what the app primarily looks like in our Android and iOS apps. And then we also use Capacitor. Again, another Ionic product. This is we're Ionic fanboys, obviously. And the Capacitor basically takes that web JavaScript and compiles it down into, or wraps it into a native wrapper for iOS and Android. And then in our backend, we use Firebase. We use Firebase Firestore for our data. We used to use RTDB a lot. We still use it for a few things. We use Cloud Functions, authentication, remote config for A/B testing, as well as Crashlytics to kind of get a pulse on how our releases are going. You asked a little bit about our team. We have right now, there's only 2 full-time engineers. Me as the UX engineer, just primarily front end, and then Annie Tomasini, who's our rock star, our legend here at Sworkit, who does basically everything else. She does iOS development, she does Android development, she's done our Apple TV. She's basically taken the Apple TV over and recently put some fixes out for our Apple Watch. So really, she's doing everything and a lot more. Well, we've had some past engineers that have gone and done their own things as well that really built a solid foundation for a lot of our backend code. And we still contract with them sometimes as we need some extra things added or updated. And with only 2 full-time engineers right now, we're looking to hire soon. So if someone's looking for another full-time front-end developer position, come join us.
Awesome. It's great to hear. Let's dig in a little bit more on the cross-platform side, Corey. What platforms do you run on today? And kind of give us just curious to learn more about your experience in building cross-platform apps, especially with cross-platform apps with a shared code base. Would love to learn more.
Yeah, Ryan showed that video of all the products that we offer now. We have our consumer product that is on iOS, Android, and web, right? And that's all shared one code base. That's the Stencil.js app that's inside Capacitor and shares our TypeScript library. That's kind of our middleware. It's a middleware library that can be used in any of our other frameworks. And then on top of those 3 consumer-facing platforms, we have an Apple TV app that we can't use your standard hybrid model. So a lot of the UI has to be built out natively on Apple TV, but we still share that TypeScript library code base in the kind of the middleware. And then same thing with our Apple Watch. It's actually connected through the native iOS app, but a lot of that logic needs to be written. Sorry, the logic is shared, but the native UI elements are coded native. And then on top of those, Ryan showed our partner apps as well. So we have an embeddable workout player that can go inside of a hybrid app or a web app. And then we have a native SDK as well. And both of those kind of have their own UI, but they still use the same TypeScript library in the middle. So it's really nice to have our TypeScript library that is kind of our core experience separated from the UI so that we can use that same shared code on all of our platforms. And even though we have one code base for iOS, Android, and web, we have to have separate code bases still for those other products. So it's nice to be able to still share that middleware across everything. On top of those main products, Ryan also mentioned our engagement portal that is for our enterprise clients and school administrators. That allows them to log in and see, engagement, if people are actually using this Sworkit product. For schools, it's really helpful because they can, teachers can log in and see if students are completing the workouts that they're assigned. And luckily, we've been able to actually build that into our consumer-facing app, and we just flag users whether they're part of an enterprise app or not. So although it's its own kind of separate product and separate billing, we've lumped it into one, again, trying to keep the code base shared. And with a small team, we want to be able to deploy once and deploy everywhere. So that's kind of our goal. And that's kind of the main benefits of keeping that all in one hybrid location, in one shared code base. Because as you can imagine, if it's not obvious, if we have it in one place, when there's a bug and we fix it in one place and then we deploy everywhere, right? So the bug gets fixed on iOS, Android, Apple TV, anything in the enterprise, it'll all get fixed. Same thing with new releases. When we have a new feature that we build, we put it in the middleware if we can, and then we release it to those other products. So it's really cool to be part of this team and see a new feature get shipped out so quickly across a lot of different platforms. Where in the past, I've worked on teams where I was a UX designer at the time, and I worked with an iOS and Android team, wonderful teams, awesome work that did great things. But it was always one platform trying to play catch up with the next, right? You had an Android team and you had an iOS team, and they weren't ever in feature parity, and they had their own product managers, both trying to, work on goals and move metrics, right? So it's nice to be able to fix it or code it once and have it everywhere. And our platforms are 95% of the time feature parity just because of that shared code base.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is actually why we've been able to move the way we have, the way we've been able to progress with this team, and building these mini libraries that we can actually share across all these code bases. These help us kind of come together, and even as we see sort of new business opportunities come up, we're able to actually go towards those because we know we're not having to spin up a whole new system. We're actually kind of building them into what we've already got, and yeah, it's really a great thing to be doing.
It sounds incredible. It's like you're harnessing the true power of cross-platform apps with a shared code base. It's incredible to see. Yeah. How is this all done with a two-person team and some additional help, Corey? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I think one of the main things we've done is really had strong typings for TypeScript, right? That's one of the ways that any engineer can kind of jump in and understand what needs to happen. Also, I've kind of already talked about this, but focusing on web technologies first, because although Annie is a rock star and she does iOS and Android development, primarily our work is in web. It's in TypeScript and JavaScript, right? So because 90 to 95% of our time is coding in JavaScript or TypeScript, we can code review really easily, right? You don't typically see in a large organization an Android developer, code reviewing an iOS developer's app, right? Very rarely do they code in both platforms. So it's nice to have a small team where we do focus on web and we can code review and help each other improve our code and improve our processes. On top of that, which I kind of mentioned before as well, is that because we have this shared code, our releases are also synced, right? Because we're syncing our releases, we can, as a team, say, okay, this is what's going out in our next version. And then that day is when let's deploy everything, right? Deploy it on all the apps at the same time, and we're done. We move on to the next sprint, the next feature set.
Very cool, and very impressive. Um, kind of shifting gears from your cross-platform architecture and the teams that are behind it, I had a few deep dive topics for us to dig into a little bit. Maybe we can start with user experience first. And the question that we had was, you've built this very popular consumer app that's used by all over the world, by all age groups, in all different types of settings, like home, outside, at work, really wherever you are. Give us some insight into like your UX design approach. How do you go about, like, what are your design principles, and how do you go about user testing to develop an experience that kind of caters to this very diverse and a very like kind of wide consumer base, or user base rather?
Yeah, that's I'll start off kind of talking about, a bit of our product process and, how it all fits in. And then Corey will, kind of, as our user experience engineer, actually hit on a bit more of the UX. But I think what's important here is, every time we build a new feature or a change, it's a different level of involvement. Sometimes there, I have a wonderful strategy around, how the perfect process for building, really great products. But sometimes it's really just like, let's go with our gut, get something out there. It certainly A/B test it when we can, but we'll talk later about our analytics. But sometimes it's a very shortened route to get there. Maybe that's possibly something about being so nimble as a small team. We're able to do that. We trust each other. We're always collaborating, with customer success team, with marketing, so we all know kind of what's important. But sometimes we are able to take a step back and especially with some of our bigger features, go through a more deliberate process. So as an example, we spent about 3 months working on, what we have now is our My Sworkit profile. So the place where people can really, see where their progress is, start to understand their habits. So there's a big phase there of, the actual discovery that, well, one, we have actually prioritized this. We know, what it's up against in terms of priorities. We know the problem we're solving. We've done customer interviews. We know what's going on there. We start doing some research around, not even just what apps are doing, but, outside of that. So looking at, how do you build habits, reading books around habits and behavioral change, and, looking at, hey, what are meditation apps doing? From there, we can start to define a little bit more of what we're actually going to build. So we start to maybe, at that point, finally, putting pen to pixel and, starting to look at what it might look like, conducting our more user interviews, getting feedback, again, collaborating, taking time to talk to the whole team. So, you can't build something like that without the customer success team and our trainers actually working with us to stay, hey, here's how you actually help people stay motivated. Go.
If I may interrupt here a little bit, Ryan, the other thing that's fun is that our marketing team recently has gotten involved too, and they'll send some of our mocks out and say, hey, what do you guys think, right? And they'll send it to our community, sometimes our private Facebook community. And so we can get early feedback from real customers pretty fast.
Yeah, it's really great just to involve them too. And I think being users ourselves kind of really helps that. So, we're able to actually, user test this ourselves, by taking a step back, doing a workout, realizing, oh, okay, yeah, we need to fix that. That really threw off my workout, or, oh, that was like the best work I've ever had. So we've had a lot of those moments, and, being able to kind of go in and then we actually start to build it out. We'll talk about, our actually deployment process. We have, over 2,000 of our members actually in our beta program. So a lot of them, see that as a reward for, hitting their 100th workout. We invite them to be part of that program. They're excited. So, we get early feedback from them. We make changes. And then, the final thing you see, you never know if it took a week to get out there or 3 months. And, as long as we look back and, we made progress and we're helping people succeed, then we chose the right path. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe going into a little bit of the nitty gritty of kind of our UX principles. That's kind of the product side. Once we actually go to implement, what it looks like, how it feels inside the app. One of our core values here at Sworkit is to keep it simple, right? We believe that our workouts are simple. We believe that our customers, no matter where they're at in their fitness journey, they should be able to pick it up and do a workout for them at any time. So we'll have a plan for you, whether you're an expert or you're a beginner, right? So we try to apply that same principle to our design. We try to meet our customers where they're at and keep it simple. So if you open up your app on Android, you're going to see Sworkit that's following the material design guidelines, right? Because if you're on an Android phone, and as an Android user, it feels familiar to me, right? I don't have to learn a new design pattern, right? On my iOS device, I'm an iPhone user. If I open my iPhone on Sworkit, it's going to look like the human interface design guidelines, right? It's going to follow Apple's design principles. And so compared to the other apps on my iPhone, it feels at home, right? I don't have to learn a new paradigm. Now, obviously, we have our own design flair to it. We have our own branding. There are things that we do that are different, but the core interactions are specific to the platform. And that's one of the things that we love about Ionic, is that it handles that for us already, right? As I navigate from our workout collection page to a workout on iOS, it's going to slide in from the right to the left, right? And on Android, it's going to slide up, right? Because that's the pattern on Android. That's the pattern on iOS. And again, that's something that Ionic already does for us, right? So we try to keep it simple and use those platform specific patterns. And we only try to design new patterns or new UX interactions if it's really required. Like, we default to the simple, we default to what people already know, so that they don't have to learn something new within our app.
It's really that's inspiring to hear, kind of, getting feedback from cross-functional teams and making them a part of your kind of user experience and your product testing, and also keeping it simple, which we totally believe here in Ionic as well. Someone's honking outside my house, which is great. And I having a beta program where you actually enroll your users to, users who are frequent users, to give you feedback in more early stages, is very spot on. And I think the point that you made about building habit and actually using kind of some behavior science techniques to drive user engagement and user adoption, I feel like that's very critical for especially for workout apps, because if you can use it once or twice, but if you're not if the technology is not kind of creating a habit or a behavior, you're not going to be as engaged. So kind of pulling on that thread a little bit more, tell us a little bit about how you drive user engagement and user adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this actually comes back to, again, that that cross-team communication and collaboration. So we have what we have deemed amongst ourselves the product council. So the product council meets at least once a week. We have our heads of marketing, customer success, engineering, and product all together, kind of talking about what's on each other's minds. What's customer experience, kind of what are they hearing all about? What's something we need to focus on? What is marketing? What kind of campaigns are they working on? How can we support them with engineering efforts? But I think what that does is it helps us align. And we've learned this probably by doing it wrong as well. So we'll sit here as a product and engineering team. We'll build something great. We'll send a Slack message and say, "Hey guys, it's out, it's released," and then everyone's like, "Wait, what do you mean it's released? Slow down. We gotta stop. We gotta plan this out. We gotta tell everybody about it." You'll build something, you put it out there, and then you hope people find it. But what we've really done now is kind of slow that down. So we'll work on earlier on getting them involved and letting them know, "Hey, this is coming." Obviously, we don't know when, because that's dangerous to say, but it's coming soon. Let's start making a plan. And then kind of when we finish some of these releases, we actually, kind of give them the control to say when it actually gets released. So, marketing is, saying, all right, we're actually, we are ready to align our in-app messaging. We are ready to, send out the right emails and let people know about this, and then re-release. And then we make sure that it's communicated to our members. And while we're doing it, another key thing is personalization. So, what we're doing, we use our data to actually talk to our members, the ones who are maybe, on their 1,000th, 2,000th workout. We're going to talk to a little bit different than those, members who are, just starting to get through their first few workouts. Depending on what their goal is, we're adjusting the messaging, even with the different features that we're releasing out. So, I think for us, it's about that sort of, alignment and planning before you release something, to really, get the most adoption and engagement, and then just the personalization to make sure that, it feels very important to the members that we're talking to and bringing this to.
Makes a lot of sense. We'll talk a little bit more about the personalization and using data to kind of have a highly personalized experience, because I do want to dig into your analytics and how you set those up. But before we get into that, you'd mentioned that you have roughly a 2,000 person beta group. Extending from that, can you tell us a little bit more about your build cycle and how you go about just what your build cycle looks like, and how do you do it safely with this large user base?
Yeah, so we have basically a production channel, a beta channel, and an alpha channel, right? As you imagine, alpha is for people within our team. Typically, the engineers, sometimes we'll grab someone from marketing to check something out early, or anybody else that wants to on our team, they can switch. Beta, like you said, we have roughly about 2,000 customers that have opted into our beta program that can get that. And then it goes to production, right? Before we go through all those, we manage all of our tasks inside GitHub, right? I'm going to give you a little bit of the nitty gritty here. We prioritize stuff there. That's Ryan as our chief products officer. That's what he does. He says, okay, here's what we want to get done next. Puts it in a priority order, and then we'll agree and pull tasks on to what we're going to be working on next. Inside those cards or those issues in GitHub, we have links to customers that have either complained about the bug or requested a feature. So if there's additional details we might need, we can reach out to those customers as well, and basically understand the problem we're trying to solve. Once we've started coding it, we'll put it onto a development branch that syncs with our development or our alpha channel in deploy, right? So we're using Ionic deploy. That's what I'm talking about when I say channels. We have an alpha channel that lets you view whatever's on that channel on your device, on your native device. So because we're building on this development branch, at any time someone can come in and see that if they're on the alpha channel in Sworkit on their device, right? So I can ping my team and say, hey, check out alpha. I just released this new feature that V1 of this new feature, right? And they can check it out internally before we even send it to beta. Once we've kind of approved it, we've gone through a little code review. We'll then merge those changes into beta, which, because of the way we have our system set up, when you merge into our beta branch, it'll automatically trigger a deploy it'll trigger a build in Ionic deploy, and it'll also trigger a build through Netlify. So beta.sworkit.com in a few minutes will be deployed as well, right? So now we have our web beta experience that has been updated. We have a new beta build that is ready for any of our beta customers. And then after that, once we've deployed to beta, is typically where we'll go through the process to start uploading to Apple, because Apple is kind of our bottleneck. We'll say, okay, let's submit this to Apple now, so that while our customers and us are double checking our work and testing this over the weekend, Apple might approve us. And then once Apple gets back to us, we'll take it from beta and we can release it to production. And then, like I said, we try to sync those releases. So we'll release to iOS, we'll release to Android. The way we release to web is we take our beta and we merge it into our production branch, and then it's automatically deployed to app.sworkit.com, right? So that's also an automated process. And then once we've merged that into our production branch, we have any of those tickets that were linked will get automatically closed because it's now in production. And then we can follow up with any of our customers that have complained about issues or had asked for a feature request. So all those tickets will open up. That's just an integration we have connected with Intercom. So whether it's me that's assigned to the ticket or it's our customer success team that's assigned to the tickets will open up and say, hey, this issue is now resolved because XYZ. And we can proactively reach out to our customers and say, hey, we just fixed this bug you reported. Thanks so much. Check out our latest version. Or, hey, we just released that feature you requested. Let us know what you think, right?
Yeah, I think, just to reiterate, I think this is really one of, our superpowers as a team, and, the way that we can actually, as a team, be that first line of defense and, pick up on things, actually, get it on our devices, go out, do the workout, whatever it is, the feature to test it. And then we get the beta feedback, we wait, and then to get it out to everyone. This is really, from where I'm sitting, having made so many mistakes and released code that should never have gone out. This just makes me feel great and helps me sleep. It's good.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
I appreciate your overview, Ryan, and I also really appreciate, Corey, your detailed insight. I'm sure our audience will really appreciate that. I think we're going to try to use the intercom and kind of responding to customer tickets playbook here with Ionic customers as well. I think that's really clever. We do kind of track issues in GitHub with customers, but the intercom play we hadn't thought of. That's really clever. Thank you.
Yeah, they've got an integration that's like click a checkbox, so it's pretty slick.
That's awesome. Okay, definitely look into that. I took a note. Any final thoughts on how you ensure like high quality or a stellar user experience for thousands of users before? Because I did want to shift gears and talk a little bit about app analytics, but wanted to make sure that if there are any final thoughts on that front, we'd love to get them.
One thing that we started doing in the past, we had this cadence where we were like, okay, we're going to release to beta on a Tuesday. It's going to sit in beta for a week, and then we're going to release it to production again on Tuesday. Excuse me. And so that was our plan for a while. And we had this saying, we release every Tuesday, right? Because we didn't want to release on a Friday, and Monday was too soon. So we just said Tuesday's our release day. But what we found was the times we finished features didn't always align with that Tuesday. And a lot of times we were like, hey, we can ship this faster. Like, it doesn't need to sit in beta for a full week. Mm-hmm. So what we started doing was tracking our usage rather than time, do it based off usage. So because we have, almost 2,000 people regularly in beta, if we see, thousands of workouts done, completed on that beta version, on our latest beta version, then we'll say, great, we have over 300 workouts completed. I check in with customer success. We haven't had any complaints. Let's call it good, right? Let's ship it. Mm-hmm. So that's been something we've done a lot here in Amplitude, because Amplitude lets you really segment events based on user properties. And so that app version is a user property that we can just say, show me all the users that have ended a workout, on version 10.5.3. And then we can say, great, we did 300 yesterday. We're at 600 today. And this is just beta numbers, right? Mm-hmm. But we can track that a lot easier, and we can have a lot more confidence than simply just saying, oh, it's been in beta for a week. We can say, oh, we've had 1,000 customers experience it and 600 workouts, right?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Wow. Okay. Very cool. Let's move to another topic that I know our customers and our community is very interested in, especially as it relates to consumer apps, really any app, but definitely on the consumer app side, which is app analytics. Can you guys give us an overview of how you've gone about setting up analytics in your app? And then I have a couple of follow-up questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now our main product for analytics is Amplitude, as Corey was saying. So, this is what's helping us understand our customer behaviors and, tracking our core KPIs. We've tried some free frameworks in the past, Google Analytics, Firebase Analytics, and, none of them really kind of served our needs. We could never really take that data down to the user level, diving into the actual behaviors, applying more of the user properties. So we love the ability there to, kind of create the right segments, look at, again, we talked about this personalization. I think even in our analytics, we need to personalize what's going on. So, we might see, our audience that is focused on losing weight versus building muscle. We might actually need to look at their data a little bit different. So we separate that out, having, that style of, with Amplitude, like the event-based analytics, again, then lets us start to see, is something different about their first workout and their third workout, kind of having that timeline for what they're doing, I think has really helped. So we're feeding data into Amplitude, using a lot of Firebase cloud functions, some of our client side events if we have to, but, more so with Firebase cloud, because we could also say, hey, we need to update it in Amplitude. We need to update it in Intercom. And then also relying as well on Revenue Cat, bringing in some of that revenue and subscription data. Those three kind of, sources together have helped us rely a lot more on our analytics and the data coming in.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Any stories that you'd like to share around kind of how you've distilled all this like data that you're collecting in your app to actionable insights, and maybe to even a step further to like additional features or product tweaks you've made?
Yeah, so I mean, we're definitely trying as much as possible to really make having the data there is one thing, but actually kind of turning that into something. So we use data in a few ways. So one, we it helps us prioritize our work. So being able to go into some of those like deeper behavioral tools that Amplitude gives us, they're actually helping us find out, hey, is it is recommending that people should connect to Apple Health more beneficial for their long-term retention. The way that they're listening to music within the app that we offer, can we put that more up front so that maybe more people are doing it, they're actually enjoying their workouts more, they're coming back. That was something that we did. Like we were seeing people using our music, and they were having longer workouts, they were doing more workouts, and we took that data, we decided to actually put that into the flow. And you never want to like put another step in the flow to get to the main thing, but for us, we had looked at the data. We saw that, this music experience that we were already doing a great job of bringing in, our own playlists, our own music they can listen to. We took the chance because the data was supporting that, this is an opportunity that is creating a better experience, is making sure that they come back more. So, in prioritizing things, like helping us make changes, we're also using data to evaluate, obviously our A/B testing. So, we'll talk a little bit about it, but we use Firebase config, remote config to actually set up the experiments. But then we're tracking the actual results in Amplitude, because we don't want to, we may have, 4 or 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 different metrics we want to look at to see like the longer term effect of what happened there. And I think also, even with this actionable insights, it comes down to the personalized experience. So, we can actually then connect, our cohorts from Amplitude and Intercom and start to message them different because of what they're doing there. Yeah.
Speaking of just of cohorts, how do you structure your cohorts by time when they join, or do you slice and dice them with multiple dimensions?
It's mostly by time, because that's a lot of times, if we're trying out different sort of onboarding strategies, or we're trying out different, marketing, we think of, our emails and our in-app messages being just as important sometimes as the actual like, UI, what you're seeing in the app. So yeah, that's definitely been a benefit. Go ahead.
Well, that's an interesting question too. It reminds me of one of our A/B tests gone wrong, as I would say. So we did this ABCD test. Ryan's gonna smile when he remembers this one, where we tried to test, okay, if I want to lose weight versus gain muscle versus sports conditioning, right? All these different, self-selected people said what their goal is when they came into Sworkit. And on this payment screen, we showed a custom image and a custom description per person. And then we tried to A/B test each one of those things at the same time, right? So now we were segmenting our segments in our A/B test, and it just was like, it was so hard to even, one, draw a conclusion, two, understand what we were really testing, and it didn't make a big difference anyway, right? Yeah. So when we're segmenting our users, we try to go back into our core values of, let's keep it simple, right? I'm going to test this, and this is what I expect. And if it does or does not happen, like, we can make a decision off that. Testing 4 segments or 5 segments at a time is impossible.
Yeah, it sounded really great up front, and then somebody actually asked us like how to go. You're like, how do I explain this? Can you open the spreadsheet? And yeah, that was tough to explain. Yeah, we started. Like, okay.
What am I looking at right now exactly?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Guys, just coming to kind of the close, and then I'll open it up to, we have some questions from the audience. But just to tie it up, incredible app, really solid business model, and it's also like for a very important social cause. How did the global pandemic impact your business or your technology strategy, your product strategy, and what's coming next from Sworkit?
Yeah, definitely. I think we were very fortunate to be in the right field at the right time. It's kind of one of those things. I'd rather be, lucky than smart. And, I know that I totally respect there's so many businesses out there that, this has been a real struggle for. And, that's been hard to see, a lot of people going through that. But, for us, we did see a big spike in usage, especially, March and April of this year, 2020. And, we started to see people kind of drop off after that, but really for us, it helped us realize that, these people's habits are changing. And, we do believe that, the working out from home, the convenience of that is going to stay and is going to endure even when gyms start to open back up more. It really helped us see, this interest from enterprises who want to come in and provide this to their employees, to make a new benefit, a more flexible benefit for them. Something that more of them can use, they can get use of, they can use it with their families. That really came to light. And then with the schools, we've had all these teachers using it. We kind of just gave it to them and just let them go with it. But when they really started coming back to us now, we realized what we were actually doing for them, providing an opportunity, with our Sworkit Live player, even to let teachers still be in front of the kids and interacting with them, creating those relationships. We get messages from our members all the time, just thanking us for kind of keeping them sane through this period and keeping them fit. And it's those types of messages that really, keep us going and make us really proud of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to see kind of how such a, I don't want to call it a simple app, but a simple idea of getting workouts to people where they need it is so impactful.
Yeah.
So congrats, and kind of should feel very proud of what you guys have built. Any final thoughts, recommendations for our customers building consumer apps that you'd like to share?
You start off?
I'd just say a simple one. We keep it simple. We've said it a couple of times. Keep it simple. Follow your platform specific guidelines, keep the UX simple. If there's already an existing paradigm for the UX element or feature you're trying to create, just use it. Use something people are used to. You don't need to create something new.
Yeah, a couple for me. I think it's, one thing I'd love people to know is you can build incredible things with a small team. I think what's important there is, constantly, evaluating if you're solving the right problems at the right time. So don't just get excited about this feature you've always wanted. You really have to check in and reprioritize time and time again. Who is this helping? What's it doing for the business? Are we helping our customers succeed? A lot of that. So additionally, we take inspiration from lots of different places, not just sort of our competitors, but we look at what people are doing kind of in real life. Obviously we have a nice kind of, we can look at what personal trainers are doing or gyms have been doing and learn from that. And we also, probably the biggest one, that we've kind of talked about a few times is, actually involving all departments in sort of the product prioritization, the business prioritization, solving challenges together. Constantly make sure that, we've got the ear of the customer, we know what they're saying. We know we're hearing that. We've got marketing, knowing what's going on. We know what sales is sort of going through. So taking time to collaborate is going to make for a better outcome, and it is going to even create that alignment along the way.
I will just add one more. I don't think I realized the power of the web until we started using Capacitor. If you're building a consumer app and you haven't touched the web in 10 years, it's come a long way. You can already take photos, you can get geolocation, you can do a lot of things with web without even having to go native. So maybe the answer to your question right now is hey, you can start and get a lot done just by building a web app before even going native. A lot of our customers, especially our Sworkit youth now, most of them are using our web app more than they are the native app because they can put it on a big screen, desktop or laptop.
Yeah, we're seeing kind of the point you made, Corey. We're seeing a lot of web developers kind of using Capacitor and seeing a huge spike just this year with web developers utilizing Capacitor to bring truly native experiences. We have a few questions from the audience for you guys. Let So the first one is, are there any platforms and services you can't live without?
Yeah, I think we've highlighted most of them throughout this call, this presentation. But to bring them back up, certainly Ionic, Ionic Deploy. Again, it's just saved us many times. Has got purchasing working again overnight. That's another story for another time. But Stencil.js, being able to use Capacitor, obviously Firebase. We've done a lot with that. Netlify. ZenHub. So that's something we use that sits on top of GitHub to actually help us with our building out our pipelines and what we're working on, building our sprints, and then Amplitude and RevenueCat. Without those, I think we'd be struggling a bit. So yeah, those are my top ones. Did I miss anything, Corey?
I think that's it. And for a small team, like those are core. Like we really use them and need them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another question is, what does the future have in store for Sworkit? What are you guys building next?
Yeah, it's the new year coming up, so we're thinking ahead to next year. But obviously continuing to help people, really focusing on customer success. You sort of hear as like a job description, but for us, it's helping them reach their goals is something I think we need to continue to work on. Helping them build their accountability, helping to educate people. Most of us here, have sort of, had at some point very little knowledge about working out, and over time by doing it, by staying in this, by working on it full time, we've all learned a lot, and we want to take that to our customers. So as a business, obviously we're seeing the corporate wellness stuff really pick up, having a lot of great feedback from employees who are using it. The engagement numbers that we're seeing are really inspiring, and working with teachers. So those are all really great. We're excited that we're sort of expanding out just, beyond just the B2C. And yeah, big things ahead. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Got another one. If someone was starting their own hybrid application today, and trying to kind of emulate you with a single code base, where should they start?
So I kind of jumped the gun and answered this on the last one, but I'd recommend starting on the web, right? The web is so powerful today. You can create most, if not all, of your experience on the web, right? We design and do most of our coding in the web. So you can see it on large screens, small screens, we make it responsive. And so you can get something into your customers' hands faster by building on the web. And then, you can still build it with Capacitor on the web, and then deploy to the App Store once you need additional features like push notifications or, native storage, offline, full offline access, that kind of thing. So you can build a lot with just using the web. That's what I'd recommend.
Got it. Anything from your side, Ryan? Question?
I think he nailed it. I think we've covered some great stuff here. Yeah.
Cool. Got another one. You said you were hiring. Can you describe a little bit more on what you're looking for?
We want a Corey number 2.
Okay.
So someone that really likes building front end, an Ionic developer, TypeScript, versatile, right? I still work in some back end, but UX, UI, still we're a small team, so we want someone that likes to do more than just one thing, wears multiple hats, works with product, works with customer success, and likes to code delightful experiences.
Yeah, we will not call her or him Corey number 2, though. I promise. Yeah.
That's a job requirement. Nice. I have one final one. I think you've inspired some of our audience members. How can I join the Sworkit Enterprise program?
Fantastic. So if you have a company, certainly, reach out to us, sworkit.com/business. You can hit me up straight at ryan@sworkit.com. You can also nominate your company. If you're an employee, you're using Sworkit, you will get free Sworkit for life if they sign up. So just throw it in there. So yeah, sworkit.com/business. Would love to help you, all of your employees. And
awesome.
For asking that.
And the same, a similar question on the school side. How does the school sign up for Sworkit?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our main website, you'll see a option for educators. It's sworkit.com/youth initiative. So yeah, we would love parents to recommend it to their schools. Anyone in the faculty can sign up, fill out the form. All we really need to know is about the school, the teacher who's going to be our main contact. And then all of the staff, all of the students can get access to Sworkit. And then from there, they can use it any way they want, whether they're going to use it virtually, whether they're going to use it when they're back in person, whether they want to, kind of upgrade to get the engagement portal where they can actually do grading. So verifying, if they've done their virtual PE homework. Sworkit.com, just search for the youth initiative. And we would love to keep expanding that out. We can, we're in 10% of schools in the US right now, and we're looking to keep that growing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan, Corey, thank you so much for taking the time, for answering our audience's questions, for answering my questions, telling us about Sworkit, the tech stack, the team. Thank you so much for joining us, and wish you guys all the best.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for all that you guys do. You're definitely a part of our team as well. So I forgot to mention, having you all kind of there to support feels like a whole other side of our team that we don't have to necessarily pay a full paycheck to. So
yeah, it's our pleasure.
We get you. It's good. Yeah. So thanks a lot.
Thanks.